Hello, I'm Lillian Osborne, a Maker Lab assistant at Central Rappahannock Regional Library's IdeaSpace. Welcome to our embroidery machine badging video. By the end of these videos, you will have completed level 1 training on the Janome Memory Craft 15000, and you'll be able to come into IdeaSpace to complete level 2 and earn your badge. Let's get started. Before we jump into our first project, we need to set up our machine and prepare our fabric. First, turn on the machine and wait for the embroidery carriage to move into position. The screen may ask if you want to continue the previous design. At this point, grab the stylus from the side of the machine and select No. Embroidery hoops are essential for the creation of designs. Your fabric and garments will always need to be hooped before they can be embroidered. We have 5 different embroidery hoops for you to choose from. The FA10 is our smallest hoop and perfect for small details. Square 14 has a square embroidery area. The hat hoop is for embroidering on caps, and it fits inside the Square 14 hoop. Square 23 has a larger square embroidery area. Hoop GR is our largest hoop with over 11 inches of embroidery space. For this demonstration, we are going to use the FA10 hoop. Ensure that your fabric is larger than the outer hoop and place it face down on a flat surface. We're going to apply a stabilizer to our fabric, which is a piece of paper or mesh that keeps the fabric from warping and stretching while being embroidered. There are 3 types of stabilizers. There's tearaway stabilizer for woven fabric such as cotton. There's cutaway for knits and stretchy fabrics such as t-shirts or jersey. Lastly, we have wash away for sheer fabric or standalone lace designs. We are using a tearaway stabilizer because our fabric is a stable, woven cotton. Now, to apply the stabilizer. First, cut a piece of tearaway stabilizer that is roughly the same size as the piece of fabric being embroidered. Next, stick the stabilizer onto the fabric, ensuring that there are no wrinkles. Next, place the embroidery hoop on the table with the inner hoop set to the side. We will then place the fabric, stabilizer side down, on the hoop. Press the inner hoop into the outer hoop, ensuring that the arrows are lined up so that the inner hoop sits flush with the outer hoop's frame. We will then tighten the set screw of the hoop. If done correctly, your fabric will be tight like a drum and there will be no wrinkles. Once your hoop is tightened, place your hoop onto the embroidery carriage. Then, lock the hoop into place. This covers the machine's overview and our range of hoop sizes. Next, we'll be moving on to how to thread the machine and load in a bobbin. Then, we will format a simple design using the embroidery machine's built-in gallery. Next, we will cover essential parts and buttons on the machine, threading our bobbin and our first color, and then starting an embroidery design. While there are a lot of buttons on the machine, only some are relevant to embroidery. Let's go over those first. First, we have the needle threader. Pressing this activates the automatic needle threader. Next, we have the thread cutter. This cuts the thread of a design so it can be removed from the machine. We then have the presser foot lifter. This raises or lowers the presser foot. Fourth, we have the needle lifter. This raises or lowers the needle. And lastly, we have the start-stop button. This starts or pauses the design. In addition, let's go over the relevant parts of the machine and their names. First, we have the spool holder. Next, we have the take-up lever. Then the thread guide, the automatic needle threader, followed by the needle bar, the bobbin, the hand wheel, the stylus, and finally, the power button. Now that you are familiar with the machine's buttons and parts, let's load in a bobbin. Remove the hook cover plate by pushing the release switch to the right, then lift it off the machine. Next, take a pre-wound bobbin and make sure it looks like a P. Set the bobbin in the bobbin case, then pull the thread into the channel following the numbers. At the end of the channel, pull the thread so it catches on the blade and trims at the end. Now, let's thread the machine. When threading, rather than turning the machine off, place the memory craft in lockout mode. This disables the sewing mechanism and makes the machine safe to thread. Use the stylus to tap the lockout icon, enabling lockout mode. The presser foot will lower, making the needle easier to access. Once you have done this, remove the spool holder. Place your thread on the spool pin. Ensure that the thread is unwinding towards you from underneath the spool. Snug the spool holder to the end of the thread spool. Grab the loose end of the thread and pull it towards the left side of the machine. Thread the machine in order from 1 to 7, using the illustrations on the front of the machine to guide you. Press the automatic needle threader button. This will activate the threader and it will thread the needle for you. Note that it may take a few tries to properly work. If the auto threader fails, the needle must be manually threaded. Now, let's choose a design. First, select the flower icon to bring up the preloaded embroidery design menu. Then, press the hoop icon to bring up the hoop menu. Press FA10 to sort the designs by ones that will fit in the FA10 hoop. Then, choose the first design in the menu. The machine will then confirm the hoop size that the design requires. It is very important that the hoop loaded into the machine matches the hoop required for the design itself. Using the incorrect hoop can result in damaging the embroidery machine. Press OK with the stylus to clear the notification. The screen that is currently displayed is the Ready to Sew window. There's a lot of information on this window, and if you ever forget what something means, please refer to page 12 of your badging instructions for clarification. The most important things you need to know from this window are, first, the hoop size, then, the vertical and horizontal size of your design, 3, the required sewing time, and finally, the thread colors in the design. There are also a few important function keys. First, we have color selection. This toggles between the colors and the design, making it easy to see which color is selected. We then have the stitch back and stitch forward options. These buttons step the hoop forward or backward, making it easy to pick back up after a broken thread if needed. Lastly, we have the previous and next color selection. These arrows let you choose which color of the design the machine is currently working on. It is important to stay at the machine and monitor it for any signs of trouble, such as a broken thread or jam. Staying by the machine also allows you to be notified when you need to change the thread color. If your design has multiple colors, the memory craft will signal the need to change the thread at the end of every color. The machine will pause, cut the thread with the automatic thread color, and alert you to the need to change colors. First, put the machine in lockout mode, then raise the presser foot by raising the presser foot raise button. Gently juggle on the thread so that it is loosened from the design. Remove the thread spool from the machine. Repeat the earlier steps of threading the machine. When the needle is threaded, press the small lock icon to take the machine out of lockout mode, and then press the Start/Stop button to resume the design. Continue to change threads as the design goes on. When the design is finished, the machine will perform one last thread cut and then return the hoop to the starting position. The Ready to Sew window will say complete. To remove the hoop, you need to unlock the hoop from the carriage and carefully remove it from the machine. Next, remove the fabric from the hoop. First, loosen the set screw. Next, remove the inner hoop. Lastly, remove the fabric. Since we use tearaway stabilizer for this design, you will need to tear it off the fabric. Our design is now finished. In addition to the onboard designs and the embroidery machine, we offer the Janome Artistic Digitizer software. The software enables you to make monograms, photorealistic embroidery, custom quilt motifs, and much more. We don't teach you how to use this software comprehensively, but there are plenty of in-software tutorials that can help you learn it. Now that you have watched this video, you should be familiar with the Janome MemoryCraft 15000. Whether you're watching this video at home or at IdeaSpace, we look forward to seeing you for Level 2 for your in-person badging appointment.